All right, people. It's March 19th of 2024. We're going to stay on the subject of what is it? Literally, what is it? Okay? Well, obviously, I'm dehydrating vegetables, blah, blah, blah. After it's all said and done, I'll show you how many 1-gallon jars I got. Alrighty-o. And we know it's working out to about $1.59 a pound. All right. Anyway. So I subscribe to this bit shooter. Can't call him a YouTuber. Maybe he has a YouTube channel. I don't know. Anyway, he calls himself the he calls himself Red Pill 78. All right. Remember that video I told you I wanted to record? 2 hours and 32 minutes. Well, I'm not going to take the time to sit here and listen, talk, record. I'm just going to provide the link to this video. Hold on a minute. Andre is growing up, asking to do something new with his bike, with his 2 little friends. And I'm like, well, thank you for asking and getting permission before you went behind my back and did it. Shows maturity on your part. And then he thanked me for allowing him to go bike riding where he normally wouldn't go bike riding with his friends. Anyway. Alright. So this video here, I'm going to provide the link. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it started playing in the background. And then when I get to a spot where I think I want to take it as a talking point to build on this video, which I'm going to go into my videos. And I'm going to bring up other talking points that I can match up with what's being said here to build on what we're dealing with in terms of what's in the dark will be exposed and come into the light. Well, it doesn't want to come into the light. You see, that's the thing. We have to expose it, right? And bring it to the surface so that people can be aware. And I don't know. I don't even know if you can protect yourself against these things, people. I mean, look at my family. It's half gone. All right. So anyway, let's not focus on that part. So here's the title anyway. We'll do the title. The Cost of a Fentanyl-Based Economy, Saving San Francisco with DARREN STALLCUP. Okay? On Friday Night Live. And this was uploaded on March 9th of 2024. So I'm going to start listening, and when I come to something that I think I want to use as a talking point, there may be 1 or 2 or 3. One really stands out on my mind, to which I want to correlate it with the video where it's called Andre's News, when Debbie's house was blown out by some sort of federal SWAT team that... Personally, I just think it was kind of like a gong show in terms of wake up the neighborhood and rattle everybody's nerves. And then I do believe that they took out a body out of that house and put it in a white government taxpayer hearse with medical equipment inside of it to propagate these things that they're putting into positions of authority, like a public servant coroner that works for the province of British Columbia, Canada, and is employed and paid for basically by taxpayers. Little do they know it's an it with a motherboard, processing board in its hair. I'm just saying, okay? Because in this video, this young man brought to the attention that in San Francisco, on the streets, as the homeless are dying, it's not being reported on in a transparent way where they've got vehicles. Don't ask me the color of them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're not white. They're either white or they're black. Okay? Coming up and picking up dead bodies off the streets and stacking and packing them in these white, or I'm not even going to say white vehicles, in these public servant vehicles. They're picking up somebody died on the street, homeless. They go, they pick up the dead body, and they put it on the lower rung, right? And then they go drive around, and then they find another one, and they pick up that one, and then they stacking and packing these dead bodies in a vehicle that's, and then the guy, you know, this young man, he asking, like, where are they taking the bodies? What are they doing with the bodies? Where are we? Where are they taking the bodies? Nobody's talking about where these bodies are going. Yeah, well, I think we have a pretty damn good idea where these bodies are going, people. Okay? And so, yeah, that's basically what this video is going to be kind of centered around in terms of connecting quote-unquote dots. All right? So hold on. Okay, we're coming into a little part that I just want to touch base on as an introduction to the, I guess you could say, fentanyl crises. We're at 20 minutes and 17 seconds into this video, and we're just going to listen, and when we get to what I want, I'll let you know.
Around 2015, I mean, that's when I first started to notice, like, heroin being real big on the streets, and people not really recognizing.
Exactly. Heroin hit the streets out here in 2015, and we had little 14 and 15-year-olds dying from heroin. And then it quickly went into freaking fentanyl within a few years after that. Fentanyl started creeping in 2000, just late 2016, 17, by 18. Yeah, it was the excuse that Shimei did it to herself. She was depressed. She committed suicide with medical fentanyl. Yeah, bullshit.
Recognizing that it contained fentanyl or carfentanil, or now there's even synthetic opioids that they're putting into it, which is like hundreds of times more deadly than fentanyl. And, you know, do you think that it's
quick?
Yeah.
The concentrated form of fentanyl, the opiate you're referring to, is called ISO, I-S-O, Isaiah Scotty Oliver, ISO. And if you guys thought fentanyl was bad,
remember I told you it's an analog. It's created in a lab, manufactured by a chemist, and because it's an analog, it has its sister analogs, right? It goes in a group, right, with the main ingredients, and then they tweak it to make, you know, the sister analogs, right?
Fentanyl's killing people in microscopic amounts. Let me tell you guys, ISO is killing people 1,000 times more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, Mr.
Now, this is what I don't like. He justifies it by saying that's what the addicts want. They want to die and come back because that's part of the high. So when people start talking like that, right, it you know, it becomes like the cop. Well, when they came to me and said she may have committed suicide, you know, no, she didn't. Oh, okay, if you don't want to accept that, then it was an accident. Move on. You know, it's nothing. She should have known better. She shouldn't have been a closet addict. You know, sneaking around with everybody in the house doing coke at 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, right. After she talked to her sister for an hour as she was looking after Amari with his first cold all night long. Yeah. As she was being poisoned with medical fentanyl because somebody laced her cigarettes. Right. Mm-hmm. And then along came Julian, whacked her on the head, and injected her with a speedball to make it look like she was doing drugs. Mm-hmm. Just so that cops could say, oh yeah, she was a closet addict because she had the fentanyl, the medical fentanyl. What kind addict gets high off of medical fentanyl? As this young person is saying, well, you know, if they're dying out in the streets, it's because they want to. No. They don't want to. They're locked into whatever sick shit that whoever is pumping this crap out into the community. Don't forget, you got a lot of handlers out there. And what did the handlers do? This is what the handlers do. They put out the propaganda. They make it so that people become desensitized to it and blame the victims. That's what fucking handlers do. And they come in all shapes and forms and sizes. Mm-hmm. And, yeah. Let's go back.
Pain. Some say death is just a part of the high. They like coming back to life.
Wow.
They say it's just a part of the high.
Okay, now he could just be stating a fact, because I'm sure there are people out on the streets that say that, because what else can they say outside of maybe they're, you druggy handlers that get little perks from the dirty cops, right? To, hot shot somebody so an extra dead body comes in. Of course they're going to put out the fucking propaganda. So you got to be careful with that shit when you hear it.
That's crazy. I can't imagine that, So do you think it's all due to the presence of those drugs on the street? I mean, I kind of casually called the show the cost of a fentanyl-based economy.
To be honest with you, I'm a little short with my attention span. I'd like to double back to what was happening at the grocery store and try to...
Okay.
Okay, so they're talking about how in the grocery stores these days, they're being robbed constantly by, groups of people coming in. In the old days, it was maybe a homeless person that was starving to death and wanted to go out there and grab a sandwich. Now you've got little mobs of this and little mobs of that coming in, doing their smash and grabs, right? And it's getting to the point where it's a daily problem. So I'm going to let that run. That's not what we're talking about here, although I suppose it all plays a role in everything that we're going through, right? But this is about why they need the dead bodies, people. Okay? It's not just simply people are killing themselves because they want to get high and they like dying and coming back to life. Fuck no. Any more than they were suicidal and they wanted to commit suicide by using fentanyl. No, it's not about that. It's that our governments, our corrupt governments, in partnership with the corrupt public union sector, and anyone else, organized religion, they're profiteering off of the dead bodies for multiple reasons. Skin suits for robotoids is only one reason. Don't forget about the food chain. Okay? And then we've got, in terms of what goes into our food chain as human beings and what we buy in the grocery store or at your local butcher shop or whatever it is. And then, of course, there's illegal organ harvesting. There was something else that was going on in there that was on my mind. Science experiments. Like they take brains from people and hook them up onto freaking motherboards and keep the brains alive as they're trying to tap into whatever is going on in the brain through a computer. That's what I mean by science experiments, right? They take other body parts for grafting, like bone grafting and that type of shit, right? And they're doing all eggs. They need the eggs in order to provide men the opportunity to get pregnant and carry a child, I suppose, in an artificial womb as they're pumping them up with hormones so that they can try and produce a little bit of breast milk, because they're never going to really produce it because they're not women. This is what I mean, right? They can't do any of that unless they have the egg. You can't get a baby unless you have an egg. They're not that sophisticated yet, okay? So there's a number of reasons why they want these bodies, but they're bringing in it's already been stated. They're bringing in robots in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions, because they're being manufactured. So, hold on. Okay, I only got a second here. I'm kind of crashing between working like I do, where people don't even acknowledge it as work, keeping up with Amari flipping himself around on the freaking couch. Andre's out being free as a bird right now with his little friends. Anyway, and of course my son is not as bullyish as he has been, but just way too grumpy for my liking, and it's a real downer, Either or, I queued this, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to go into the part that I wanted you to hear at this point, where the young man, right, is talking about, let me come closer to the camera so you can hear me, is talking about these vehicles that are picking up dead bodies basically off the streets and stacking them, packing them onto metal slabs. And he's guesstimating that these vehicles can put in 9 bodies. Now, if you go back into your long-term memory, if you're, been watching any kind of videos and has been aware as to what's been going on, isn't that what China was doing? China. And this young man actually made reference with that leader of China coming to the area, and apparently there was some sort of public fountain that was a cesspool of algae and urine and garbage and feces, and it was disgusting. But when they brought in the leader of China, all of a sudden they cleaned up the whole area and got rid of the algae and made the water pristine clean. And we also know that they took out a whole bunch of homeless people off the streets in the middle of the night. Okay. So anyway, back to this vehicle. We know that that's what China was doing at one point through the few videos that, as we cruised the internet, we came across where they were just running around picking up dead bodies and putting them into vehicles. Well, apparently this is going on in San Francisco, where they're stacking and packing dead bodies 9 deep on an estimate. That's a lot of bodies, people. That's a pretty big freaking vehicle, okay? And nobody knows where these bodies are going, because you have to remember, a lot of these homeless people they're out of touch with their family members, right? And anyone out on the street, you got 2 kinds of people out on the street. You've got the handlers. Sure, they're drug addicts, they're pimps, they're dope dealers, they're doing some kind of game, they're thieves, and the cops, they let them get away with it because, it brings in the dead body. They're hot capping other people, whatever. And, cops let them get away with it because, they're running the streets. And then you've got your victims, people. The ones that are locked into that manufactured poverty, have mental health issues, with the addictions, with the types of drugs that they're bringing out. It really eats holes in the brain. And they're not getting the support system. Okay, so we know all that, right? Anyway, this young guy here, he going on now, and he's quote-unquote praising the police for doing what they can under difficult circumstances. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that the majority of them are probably still human and can only work within the confines of their mandate and resources, as they're being gaslit, bullied, targeted, cornered, whatever, with the crooked cops on the force to say nothing, do nothing when they notice the criminal activity within the police force itself. They either join the party or they get thrown off the balcony. So before they want to be thrown off the balcony, they're going to join, or they're going to stay quiet. So when this young guy coming in, oh yeah, police, they're doing the best, you're trying to prop him up, this is where I tend to disagree. Okay? Because I'm right in the mix with it, people, here in British Columbia, Canada, with these nasty body snatchers that want to present themselves as honorable, ethical public servants. Yeah, okay. No. So with that said, we're just going to listen, and then he goes in and he starts talking about this vehicle, to which I want you to hear, and then I'm going to find the time to pull up Andre's news when they blew out Debbie's house with a federal SWAT team, to which I do think they were super soldiers, aka perhaps an IT. Not all of them, but definitely some of them. And they took out a guy that clearly had some sort of mental illness, was confined to a house with an ankle bracelet, and yeah, they loaded up his body in a white vehicle that looked like a freaking hearse, but was big enough to have any kind of medical equipment that you wanted in there, in terms of quote unquote a perfusion machine to start flushing out the organs inside the body as it's being transported for illegal organ harvesting, people. All right, that was just a one-opter, you know. They only had enough room in that van for one body. All right, and I'll show it to you, okay? But this guy that's talking about stacking these bodies 9 high, and nobody really knows where they're going, yeah, you got to do the math, people, on the numbers of death. We're past 100,000 now in the United States of America each year. We're at, I think, 107,000. It's creeped up. And they are purposely going out of their way to poison the drug supply. As, you know, they come with their Band-Aid solutions, their false promises with their safe injection sites and all this other crap, when we know that that's not the real deal, right? And they're not going to waste these bodies, people. They're either going to put them into the food chain, they're going to illegally harvest their organs, they're going to use them as skin suits, you know, who knows what they're doing with the bones. With the women, if they've got viable eggs, they're harvesting the eggs, right? They're doing everything with these bodies, all right? And yeah, they are manufacturing robotoids that are being dressed up with human skin. As it's being reported on YouTube through various little videos or on some whatever news outlet where the scientists have managed to, I don't know if they're growing skin or if they found a way to keep skin alive so that they can use it for something else. So, you know, they only tell you a little bit. They don't tell you everything. But the camera doesn't lie. Okay? All right, so let's listen.
So I got to wait 30 minutes for them to show up, sometimes even an hour. Then they show up.
Okay, he's talking about the cops here. Right? He's talking about the cops. I'm not going to bring it back. So he's talking about the cops. So he's got to wait 30 minutes up to an hour for them to show up. Whether a grocery store is being robbed by a bunch of freaking hoodlums, or maybe he's coming into conflict with somebody out on the streets, because apparently he goes out on the streets and, you know, records homeless people and just whatever, right? Because he's trying to be, I think he's young, like 25 years old, something like that, trying to be a community activist. I know what that feels like. Been there, done that, okay? So hold on a minute.
Tell me they can't do anything?
Yeah, they tell him that they can't do anything.
And then they pulled me to the side and they whispered to me and they said, "It's probably your neighbor."
Oh God! Oh, have you ever?
This is a true story, man. I can't make this shit up, man. You know, I probably shouldn't cuss. I'm gonna refrain.
He's talking about being robbed in his own apartment. You know, every district that he's moved to in California, he was robbed. And I guess he calls the police, they come 30 minutes, hour later, they can't do nothing, and then they're suggesting that maybe it's the neighbor that robbed him. All right, but we're getting to it. Just hold on.
From cussing from this point on.
Okay, all right, appreciate it. So I was going to ask, I mean, have you had any contact with the police? I mean, are they aware of your efforts? You know, have they been appreciative at all? Or
they love me.
Oh, man, they love me. Well, I can't say that about the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in British Columbia, Canada. I'm sure they fucking hate me. They definitely go after my kids when they think they can, all right? And they don't stand for no justice. So, you know, give credit where credit is due. Seriously.
No, I'm getting them refunded. And, hey, at the end of the day, the police work for us. They're just there to make sure our community's safe. And every time, you know, something bad...
No, they're not there to make the community safe. You got 107,000 people being murdered with poisoned so-called quote-unquote fentanyl, which is nothing more than a manufactured analog. And the cops ain't doing jack shit about it. So let's just put it where it belongs in terms of the truth.
Happens, they're always there, or at least they're on their way, or there's something. So I have a big respect for our brothers and sisters in uniform, both in the military.
I don't, but I do feel sorry for the ones that are actually human and have to try and maintain on their employment with a bunch of crooked mother you-know-what boobers around them that are using public tax dollars to commit heinous crimes against innocent human beings.
Military and our police. Also, big shout out to our fire truck operators, our ambulance workers.
No, they're the ones that helped to facilitate. Who took Shmei's dead body knowing it was freaking dead after they hooked up the perfusion machine to her while her body was laying on the vinyl floor in the kitchen? Huh? Why did that freaking nasty sergeant look at Julian, nod his head, said, and then Julian started acting out, and then that cop looked at me and told me to take Julian down the hall and deal with that problem? Why? Because the ambulance people were around Shmei's body, right, on the vinyl floor, which they moved it there. They took it off the fucking carpet because they knew that once they started putting in their little hoses, there's 3 hoses into her body, blood was going to come out, and they didn't want to stain the carpet, so they moved it onto the vinyl floor, people, and then they hooked her up to a fucking perfusion machine, and then they loaded her into a hammock so that they could cover it up, just in case somebody would wander by and see this big-ass perfusion machine with tubes here, tubes there, and ask questions. So, no, they fucking hid it. So by the time I got back down the hall, I seen them 3 on each side carrying her out in a fucking hammock. I figured it out, people. And this is what I don't like about what I'm hearing right now, because as far as I'm concerned, it's a smokescreen. It's a distraction away from what our fucking cops really are about. And our ambulance personnel. And yeah, you can include fire department. Maybe not as much, but they know. But they don't say nothing. They don't fight back. They don't stand up for shit.
My brother, he drives an ambulance for San Francisco. He's seen more bodies than me, which is a lot, to say the least. I mean, that's really saying something. I'm going out and I'm counting them every morning.
So he's going out and he's counting dead bodies out in the fucking San Francisco area every freaking morning. And the cops are doing a good job. Not. Stop coddling them. Seriously. They participate in this shit. They're the ones that are running the fucking underground economy with the black web. With their robotoid corners. And they're 6'4", 6'5", 6'7" shapeshifters or whatever they are. Yeah. And then you got a little human running around thinking, holy fucking shit, hopefully if I just stay quiet long enough, I can get my retirement. I might be able to escape and not be treated like a civilian. Yeah, let's be real about it, people. Don't think this shit that's going on in British Columbia, Canada, is not happening in the United States of America when you've got 107,000 people dropping like flies every freaking morning and ain't nobody doing jack shit about it except picking them up and stacking them, pack them 9 deep and then disappearing into the abyss like a damn dirty secret. Yeah. Now you know I'm getting mad.
You know what they say, Mr. Payne? It's all fun and games until the white van comes around, man. Every morning in San Francisco, there's this white van that drives around and it's looking for bodies, and they find them. They're always there. There's always at least a couple bodies every morning, and in the back of the white van is like...
In the back of the white van. So you got this dude riding around every fucking morning like you were living in the 1500s with the guy with the freaking cart going around picking up dead bodies with the Black Plague. Yeah, okay. All right, only this is a manufactured Black Plague. And he just specifically scoping out freaking bodies. I gotta go check on Amari. This boy keeps me running on my feet like you don't even know. Hold on a minute. Okay, anyway, a little play on words here. I'm not going to go back and try and catch it for what it's worth. But here's a little play on words. Did he say it's the white man with the white van that drives around the white man with the white van that drives around every freaking morning, looking to pick up dead bodies as if he was the freaking Grim Reaper from the 1500s? Or was it just some man in a white van? Because I'm curious to know, really, who's doing it. And how the hell do we even know if it's a freaking man? And if it is a man, a real man, what's he wearing? Is he wearing a little bracelet with some studs on it with a fucking pinky ring? Huh? With his fucking taser? In case he comes across a body that isn't quite dead yet, but he wasn't gonna take him out anyway because it's a little bonus on his freaking paycheck? Let's get real, people. Seriously, let's get real. Okay? So we'll just say it's a man in a white van legitimately picking up dead bodies. How can he determine that they're dead? What gives him the qualifications to say, oh, wake up. Come on, wake up. You're not, oh, you must be dead. Your tongue is sticking out. You're looking kind of green in the gills. Yeah, you're dead. Let's just scoop you up. Throw you in the white van. Yeah, okay. That's sick.
3 or 4 layers.
3 or 4 layers, but he bumps it up to 9. So I guess he picks up 3 or 4 layers of dead bodies. First he said 2, now he's quoting 3 or 4, but he goes as high as 9 on this vehicle. It can fit up to 9 people, dead people, assuming they're really dead, in that white van who is being operated by a man. Is it a white man? Brown man? Black man? Is it even really a man? Considering what I just showed you with my last video?
Metallic layers.
Yeah, metal slabs. Forget the metallic. They're just freaking aluminum slabs. Or maybe steel, right?
And then there'll be about 3 or 4 metal trays, and they just come and stack the bodies on the back.
And then there's trays. So they got the slabs, then they put the body on the tray, I suppose, and then they just stack them in between this van. Yeah, okay. Isn't that what China was doing? To some degree or another?
These vans can hold, like, I don't know, man, like at least 9 bodies.
No, so he went from 2 to 3 to 4, and now he's guesstimating they can hold up as many as 9.
I mean, it's like, think about it. You got, it's almost like a metal shelf, and each shelf has a tray, and each tray is able to hold 1 human.
Yeah, because of body fluids. Got to put it on something, leaking out body fluids somewhere, more than likely, if it's actually dead. Not everybody defecates, but the majority do, right? And once the bladder goes, once the brain is dead, the bladder goes, right? So who knows? Yeah, they need the trays. Wouldn't want to cross-contaminate, right?
And no one knows where the bodies go.
No one knows where the body goes, just like those thousands of people that disappeared in the middle of the night, mysteriously, magically, out of nowhere, just gone. Yeah, okay.
And it's at least, you know, between the years 2019 and 2023, 3,000 people, American citizens of all colors, creeds, and religions, including my cousin Scott.
Okay, he is being misleading here. There was more than 3,000 people that died from fucking fentanyl overdose, whether by murder, by fentanyl, suicide, or it was an accident. Right? Anyone that doesn't know the numbers would be very gullible to believe, oh, 3,000, that's not very much, who cares? Right? They deserve what they got because of, you know, social programming, right?
body. They put fentanyl in his weed. They're putting fentanyl in weed nowadays.
Oh my God.
My family's yet to get an apology from the mayor. 3,000 innocent Americans of all colors, creeds, and
So he must be talking about specifically San Francisco between 2017 and 2013. Honestly, I think he's got his numbers wrong. Wrong. So, it's an innocent mistake. We'll cut him some slack.
religions have died from fentanyl in San Francisco.
Okay, in San Francisco. So he's being specific. But that's documented cases. And never murder by fentanyl. No, because the cops cover it up, because they're involved. Right along with your paramedics, and yeah, if they had to, the fire department. And you damn well know the hospital staff is. Does that mean every hospital staff knows about what's going on around them? Hell no, because you're dealing with criminal group people.
Between 2019 and 2023. So when these casualties are mounting, and the bodies are really starting to stack up now.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, these are just the bodies that are found.
We were getting four fentanyl deaths a day last year. 4 to 5 every fucking day. And there's not a lot of people in the province of British Columbia, Canada. But as we're being forced out of our houses, what do you think happens? Right?
There's a lot of missing people.
There's a lot of missing people. Nobody should be surprised.
They're either living in the sewer or their organs are being harvested, but we don't want to get too deep into like the conspiracy theory.
It's not a conspiracy theory, people. That's why I do what I do. I walk the fucking talk. I am a victim to the criminals in my freaking community that think that they're big and fucking bad and they're gonna live forever and they have a right to pillage anything that they want when they want. Because for whatever sick reason, I don't know, they're overlords to what? The devil's handiwork? Yeah.
No,
I
honestly,
just wanna
Darren, I am more than comfortable to get into any conspiracy theories that you think might be happening
No, it's not a conspiracy theory. Otherwise, I wouldn't be wasting my time.
around there, because here's the thing, a conspiracy theory
These
is
are Americans. You're right.
yeah. I mean,
These are Americans.
if it's a theory, all that means is that it hasn't been fully exposed yet. So I have no doubt that that sort of thing is happening. I mean, if you need to harvest organs, I mean, obviously in China.
They're not just harvesting organs. They're taking the teeth. They took out Shemai's teeth, people, and left her dead as a doornail on a hospital bed for 9 days with no teeth. As they sutured up her freaking jaw so it wouldn't drop any further than it was dropping, but they couldn't stop it. And now it's plain as day. You can see it was ready to fall off as it was accumulating that solution that they were pumping through her skin from those little pads under her skin through their fucking tubes that they were running with some other little machine over there trying to say it was a ventilator when in fact it was not. It was running the solution of their embalming fluid to keep the skin looking like it was quote unquote alive. Yeah, and that's why all that liquid coloring of whatever was pooling at the bottom of her jaw. Gravity was working in truth's favor.
China, they just have internment camps.
They're paying a lot of money. They're paying $30,000
Yep.
for certain human organs. I'm not a doctor, but it is happening. There is at least a 1 in a million chance it's going to happen.
1 in a million chance. Yeah. 1 in a million chance that it's not happening. In other words, you got 99.9% that it is happening, with the 1% that it might get donated to charity. It just might
happen to you if you're in this city.
And the other...
but let's talk about the missing people in a little bit.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about the fact that the coroner's office, the medical examiners, the guys in charge at the morgue, and the San Francisco health officials, they are not only not able to identify a lot of these bodies, with all the technology we have, I mean, these guys are runaways or outcasts or just travelers passing through from town to town. They've kind of just been off the grid for.
You notice how he isolated it down just to men, eh?
For a while now, even though they're very dependent upon.
I think my grandson's hanging off the couch again. I'm sorry, I have to come right back. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and this boy will go like this until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. No kidding. Driving me nuts. Yeah.
On the grid, they're still living amidst society. They're not tapped in. They're not paying taxes. They're not checking in with their family. They are devotees. They are devoted to the fentanyl. They're loyal to the tinfoil, man. And the only thing they care about is doing fentanyl. They've forgotten some of these guys have forgotten their own name. That's how much drugs they've done. I will never forget my name, at least until I'm 80 or 90, man. But I have to say, the very concerning thing is there's no way in hell the medical examiners can identify all these bodies, and nobody knows where all the bodies are going. And if these corrupt far-left Democrats think they can kill their way out of this homeless crisis by enabling a fentanyl crisis, which, by the way, I just got to say, corrupt far-left Democrats have enabled chaos and death via fentanyl through.
It's not just Democrats. You need to get up off that bandwagon. Do we all not remember Gordon Campbell, the premier of the province, and when he got elected in 2001 with his 5 great goals, and then went off and brought in American-style Bill Clinton, a.k.a. George Bush's welfare reform, which basically was a catalyst to push poor people further into being poor and or homeless, even if it means throwing out vulnerable women with 5 dependent children like me with a blind man on my hip, yeah, in the middle of winter, because he had a great goal to bring in the Winter Olympic Games for 2010, and he was going to balance the budget. Yeah, okay. And he was what you would have considered to be a Republican. All right? So it's not about Democrats. It's about the corruption within our public union sector as a whole, who have been infiltrated with beings that come in multiple forms, where the original human being has been replaced to do the biddings of the devil.
Corrupt nonprofits and corrupt organizations who have benefited from the suffering of the less fortunate on the streets, as well as taking advantage of tax-paying citizens.
Okay, so I'm going to stop here. I'm going to listen a little longer. Obviously, I'm going to provide the link if you want to listen to it. And now I'm going to go look for Andre's news video, and I'm going to show you the type of van that I do believe was used to put a body in after Debbie's house was blown out by super soldiers in the middle of the night. And then, when everybody asked where the guy was, including me, the story was he ran away. Nobody can find him. He disappeared. And I even came into contact, quote unquote, with his so-called wife. I said, so what happened to your husband? Where is he? Was he in the house that night? Oh no, I don't know. He's disappeared. Can't find him. Cop said he ran away. Yeah, right. No, people, they took him out, they put him in that fucking van, they hooked him up to a perfusion machine, and they took him off to their science experiment center, and they probably created another super soldier for their team as they auctioned off whatever body parts they didn't want to make a profit. Yeah, that's exactly what fucking happened. Okay, before I get into this here, I want to say that, you know, with my grandson bouncing around as much as he does, even though he's severely disabled, there are people, quote-unquote doctors and those kind of people, that want me to drug him up with a drug that will basically sedate him so that his body isn't so tight because of the tone, right? Because of the cerebral palsy, I guess, especially on the right side, right? And but the thing is, if I give him that, he could have, he's more prone to have seizures, he can go into a coma, he can become lethargic, sleepy, non-reactive, he can, he's not as aware, right? He's, because, right, they're sedating him, right? So I said, no, I'm not doing that, and of course, there may be the option of, here, I'm going to bring this up, there may be the option of Botox, but there's issues with Botox too. But this little boy, I'm telling you, like, how many times have I turned off this camera? Like, regularly, like, I'm like, you don't even know, like, as fast as he's moving himself, as fast as I put him in a safe position, he sits up, flips himself over, and now he's over here hanging off the fucking couch. Like, come on. And he does this like 50 times a day. That's all I do, go back and forth, unless, of course, Andre's in there, right? And then I get flack because Andre's helping me. Okay, either or. We'll talk about Amari with that situation. I'm not drugging him up, people. I'm not. He's alert, he's happy, he's active. I had a phone call. You want to bring him to the, Sunny Clinic, and I'm like, for what? Well, to talk about the tone. And I said, yeah, but you can tell that doctor I'm not giving that medication that he prescribed. I'm just not, right? And I don't have to, right? The pediatrician knows, everybody knows, but it doesn't go with the quote unquote protocol, right? In terms of, it would be very easy for me to drug him up. I could sit here and not be interrupted, but I don't want that for him, right? So now I'm thinking to take my couch out and making more room in my living room so he has more space on the floor to move around, because he's getting big and active, right? Anyway, all right. So, remember I told you? Now I'm just going to provide a second look. There's 3 videos, I think, around this situation. This was on April 22nd, and by April 27th, my daughter took me out to the bank, and when I got into the car, I'm telling you people, I was blind as a bat. I lost so many octave nerves from the space of April 22nd. I could still see. This was clear, right, in terms of the light spectrum. When you lose your octave nerves, my right eye, last time it was checked, had 13% out of 100% of active octave nerves, right? So the 13% is all I can see through with the lights, where my left eye is only 2%, and my eyes have deteriorated and gotten worse, in part because of the cataract that was put in my eye, which made everything worse, not better. Although I probably lost some, what little remaining octave nerves I have left. Okay, but how is it that on April 22nd, I could see clearly in terms of light spectrum, but by April 27th, all of a sudden, I'm in the dark? Because I came into contact with these things. That's why. Because I went the next day to the little house, and a bunch of cops were running around. Don't forget, they use energy weapons, okay? I have it documented in my yard and in my house that energy weapons go through my yard and they go through my house. All right, so with that said, in these days, I could still see much clearer than what I can see now. This thing showed up after they blew out the house. They put on a fucking gong show for several hours, made it look like they were dealing with the criminal of the century, right? In terms of the bravado, in terms of the bravado, with the loud bullhorns and the smoke bombs and the flashing lights and the dogs barking and the rubber bullets shooting, and and that went on for a couple 2-3 hours anyway. And then the big smoke bombs came, and then everything calmed down, and then all the guys, they all came out and they started. Now, this was like in April, and it was freezing freaking cold, but a lot of them had bald heads. That was really strange. But they all came out and they hovered in front of this so that you can't see what was being carried, right? This thing showed up after everything was done. One fire department dude walked by carrying something, right? And then this thing showed up. Look at it. That's big enough to have a table in there with a tray, any medical equipment that you would want, like a perfusion machine, enough to sit 2 or 3 guys in there comfortably to prep the body, first of all, for surgery. That would be the first thing. And then whatever else that they do with these bodies. There was absolutely no reason for this thing to show up other than to pick up a body. As the rumor is, the guy wasn't there, or if he was, he ran away, and nobody knows where he's hiding. Nobody knows where he's hiding. Yeah. No. They kidnapped him, people. That's what they did. And even the wife was dumb enough to fall for it. Because I came in contact, because she came back, right? A few days later, and I said, well, how's your husband? Like, I got video. Like, where is he? Like, is he okay? Like, I think maybe he got kidnapped and, injured, right? My videos show that in terms of the shenanigans. Oh, no. He ran away and nobody knows where he is. It was almost like she was relieved that he was gone, and she didn't give a shit. She probably got a fucking buyout. She probably got a fucking payout to stay quiet and say nothing and just accept the fact of whatever it was that they were feeding her in terms of bullshit lies. Yeah, just like my daughter gets murdered by Julian, and then Julian's mother a year later gets a fucking buyout for a fake fucking car accident, running around in a brand new vehicle, posturing in front of my front yard, right? And then goes off and buys herself a fucking house. Yeah, okay. Because of a fake fucking car accident. Well, if it was so fucking fake, why were you driving a brand new vehicle after you smashed up whatever you thought you had there, saying that you smashed it up, wearing some little round thing around your neck? Oh, just because you put something, those little neck braces, just because you fucking put a round thing around your neck doesn't mean that you're telling the truth. There's a lot of crooked shit out here, people. A lot of crooked fucking shit out here. Anyway, let's just listen for a minute. I'm going to provide the link to these in my description box. So, I'm just watching, right? In a little bit, Andre's going to go and report on this with his friend Jude. So this was the night before, and now I'm going backtracking, and I'm looking at the video, and I'm analyzing it. That's what's happening here, people. Apparently Jude has his own YouTube channel now. Andre asked me if he could have one last night. And I know my grandson moved himself to Andre's news, right? And he's hanging off the bloody couch. We'll put this up on my channel. I gotta go in a second. Okay? But I guess his little friend has a YouTube channel, so maybe anyway, I can prop Andre's this up. Just let it record for a few minutes. Music on. I don't have anything to prop it up on. Whatever he plays on. iPad. I don't know what it's called. Anyway. What you're going to see here is, we know the one, let's see, fire department dude walked by himself at some point in this video, and you're going to see coming into the frame here 2 more coming in, people carrying something. Okay, they were carrying something, so I'm on slow speed with a large workload. We're just going to see if we can catch them coming into the frame. It's on slow speed. I'm recording this from the top of my front porch. And yeah, you really need to listen to these noises on slow speed, because it's like a second language. It's like a fucking beehive, damn right. Freaking headgear with the Wi-Fi. Yeah, well, seriously. Even on low speed, you could really hear it, eh? Put it on low speed and you'll hear it. They had that shit with Sierra too. Yeah. Yeah. Sandy seen you. It makes me think of a, well, I don't want to say a beehive, more like a hornet's nest. Yeah, one big hornet nest. Okay, this is coming. They're coming. Here they are. You can see them. Where am I? See? Okay. Because that was that one lone fire truck. And it rolled up real quiet. Okay? No ambulance. Nowhere to be seen. See? They're carrying something. Let's focus on that. I lost my glasses. I'm back. That's the fire department coming in. This white vehicle showed up the minute they done blowing out the house with the smoke bombs and whatever. They killed the guy, I'm telling you. And if they didn't kill him, they practically killed him. Just enough to subdue him. Matilda's been around. And they loaded him up in that freaking white hearse. Andre was worried. That's exactly what they did, people. She's back in the yard, right? There was no reason for that vehicle to be there. He was worried that whoever was sitting in that chair was going to... And when you watch the rest of the video, whatever, you'll understand why I say that, because that thing was pointless. They already had vehicles, cops, RCMP. In the dark, and along comes Matilda to RCMP were at the end of the bloody street. They had some guy sitting in my fucking front yard, for crying out loud, came up on my doorstep, took my chair, turned off my freaking light bulb. I'm telling you, they did something. They put some kind of powder, I don't know, something on, maybe on my chair when I went to go move the chair. I rubbed my eyes. Like within 5 days, I was blind as a fucking bat. Blind as a fucking bat. All of a sudden, I lost all my octave nerves. Now, mind you, I have glaucoma, right? But it was just, you know, not everything is a coincidence, right? Because they don't like me. They don't like what I do, people, right? Because most people don't stand up and fight as hard as they do, like I have for Uncle John, Andre, Sierra, Shimei, anybody, even my bully son. Right? At the end of the day, he's not safe. None of us are safe with these things running around like this. No. Okay. I don't know. There's two of them. It requires two of them to do it. It seems that way. So, okay. 2 fire department must be, because they would have the pants carrying something. It requires 2 of them. So I thought it was 1. It's been a while since I seen this video. Either or, that's all that went in when it came to the fire department. And that was after they blew everything out. And they were with their shenanigans for like 3-4 hours before they finally blew it out. And mysteriously the guy ran away and is hiding out in the province of British Columbia, Canada, someplace where nobody knows where he is, including the cops and the wife. Yeah, I know where he is. He's in there. Right, because you can see the hand. Right? I could see as clear as day. Nothing was cloudy, nothing was dark. Nothing was freaking blurry. 5 days later, I couldn't see shit. It's not moving. He's got his hand this way. Okay? Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I made my point. I'm just going to add the link in. If you, see, there's his face. Right, if you want to watch the video, you can. Bald head. I mean, there's more shenanigans. They came out, these bald head guys, super soldiers, in my opinion. You know, after a while, you know, they for sure they swarmed because they wanted to block anybody that may have been out on the street or something to see what was going on behind, right? The group, right? But after it was kind of some time went by, some of these guys came back, went in here, and were taking a flashlight, and they were shining it in through the windows to see what was on the inside. Why? What would you care what was in the inside? So much so that they were intrigued that they had to go see it. And not only did one have to see it, but he invited his buddy to come and see it. Right? And they're shining the flashlight in. Well, that's because there was a body in there. And they felt like they had succeeded at their mission in terms of, you know, corralling, capturing, harvesting, I don't know, apprehending, kidnapping their victim. You have no reason to go into this van and start looking around with a fucking flashlight and then have your friend come look too, unless it was something really interesting. And we know what that interesting thing was. So yeah, take this van and stack it up 9 bodies deep. And there you go. With each one having its own perfusion machine or whatever medical devices that's in there to start prepping these bodies for something. Don't rely on your freaking coroner's reports because they're not being written by professional human beings. I'm not saying that all coroners are an it, but the more that people are dying on the streets with no justice, the more people are being murdered in their houses, like my daughter, Shimei, with no justice, the more people like Sierra being lured to their deaths for snuff movies at Willie Picton Farm Point 2, right, with no justice, the more these super soldiers are being created. Because they're a modge-podge of body parts. Okay? And that noise is from outside because I was outside. That is the video. You can see them. When you hear stuff like this, when I turned it off, it stopped. But when I recorded it, I was outside on my porch. So when you get a whole swarm of cops, you record, you bring it down to low speed, it sounds like you're in a bloody bee's nest. Seriously, there's something to do. Because, you know, they're wearing their earphones and, you know, they're on their computers and, like they're highly connected to Wi-Fi. And this is, you can hear it on low speed. You don't hear it in normal, everyday walking around, you know, even in a regular recording you wouldn't hear it. You have to bring it down to a different speed in order to hear it. But it happens. They're speaking their own language. Yeah, they're speaking their own language. Definitely. We just don't hear it. But then they also have their own language with sign language, with their tongues, their eyes. That's a big one. The tongues, the eyes. Yeah. It's not all sign language people. Okay, sign language is involved. That's with the tongue, the eyes. They close their eyes, their lower lips bulge out, and then a tongue come out. Because there's something inside them that kind of crawls out. But they have to close their eyes before it can. I don't know if it's to control it or to make it happen or whatever, but they're infected. It's not all, but some of these things are definitely infected or a host to something. They are a host to something. Like, we're dealing with multiple issues here. I don't think it's just one issue. Whatever's going on with their, you know. Listen, I don't need to justify what I'm saying here because I've already proven that so-called AKA British Columbian Canadian fucking coroner was a it. I've already proven it. right? And I will go back and I will do it again. And being that I did capture John Hart's face in the background from that time when my camera caught its face, and I think even one of the cops' face. They're blurry, they're dark, my eyes aren't that great, but I can still take it to exposure and take the time to see what we get back, because the camera doesn't lie and neither does exposure. I've already proven to you that these things exist through the province of British Columbia, Canada, and their freaking coroner. You think they're going to start and stop with one coroner? No. Maybe it's this dude's head. Why do you think they need a van 9 deep to pick up all these bodies for? As the cops stand around twiddling their thumbs, saying there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah. He's still there. All those victims did it to themselves. They liked getting high, dying, and being brought back to life. All those men dying like being hobos. And then dying so they can have their bodies scooped up and disappear. Don't be so gullible or selfish. How about maybe selfish? Department personnel already walked by. So maybe I'm confusing things. I'll have to go back. So on the other side of this van, there's a window. Because they come with their flashlights and they're peering inside, and the friends are coming to look, not just one, but more than one. Because there's something very intriguing inside of there. What would be so fucking intriguing in there? If the guy wasn't there, it was empty, they blew out the windows, threw in smoke bombs, killed the fish, right? But the guy wasn't there. What do you need to be looking in there for? What was so interesting? It was him, people. Do paint. Right. I'm trying to see if somebody is walking by carrying something. Yeah. But don't forget, they all bum rushed. Yeah, as soon as they were done, this thing pulled up, they all fucking bum rushed and put a wall, a human wall, a robot wall, so that you couldn't see what they were carrying. But whatever they carried, other of these things wanted to go look with their flashlights once it was inside. What, the goldfish bowl with the fish in it after they killed the fish? No, people. Together, right? Because, okay, so I'm getting mad. I made my point, so I know that this thing goes right by my house. Because I was out on my porch. By that time, that guy left. Or at one point, he was down there, and I was recording on the porch. What could he do? He was sitting up on my blueberry bush. Actually, no, I was recording from my window, and then when he left, then I went outside on my porch. But I didn't dare leave because, you know, the message was already sent to me, don't leave your house. Because they put a guard by my front door after he touched my chair, my light bulb, and I went blind 5 fucking days later. Yeah, okay. So where's that vehicle? Let me see if I can find it. Hold on a minute. Okay, I don't know what I'm looking here, but it kind of looks interesting. I don't know if that's a face. Because if it is, this is where you'd want to take exposure to it. You'd want to crop it, expand it, enlarge it, and take exposure to it. You'd be surprised what you can find. Looking kind of weird, don't you think? looking at. So they came back again. Do you hear that noise? Oh, they were running a little machine out there.
Pressed.
Okay, Andre's news. Hold on a minute. Alright. So, did that Sean young man there with that interview, did he say white man? Or maybe he said white van? Because they like to use white out here. Yeah. White corners, vehicle, white hearses, people that are equipped with medical equipment and perfusion machines. Now this is, I'm standing on my doorstep, outside on the doorstep. This thing just drives by. But don't forget, on the other side, there's some kind of tinted black windows. Because everybody was going in there with the fucking flashlight. Not only that, but they were opening the door. There's also some sort of a sliding door or something on the other side of this, on this side. Right? Because they were fascinated with their capture, right? With their kill or whatever. You know how when people have, they kill an animal, like a tiger or something? They like their trophies, right? Show their buddies their trophies. Anyway, just imagine this. That was made for one man and a few people sitting on the bottom. Make it so that you could put 9 bodies in there. Based on what that Sean was talking about. This thing just strolled on by. Look at it. Perfect for a male man, like a male body, with some people sitting with their tubes, their perfusion machine, and anything else that they're fucking doing. A snuff movie. Recording the final end, right? Sucking out the adrenochrome, who knows? Definitely doing something, though. Right? 4 o'clock in the morning. And nobody knows where the guy went. He ran away. No. He's in there. There was no reason for that thing to come. And then they have something in the back. Maybe. Yeah, see? They came in and around, opened this up, fucking slid him in. But there's another door where they were coming and they were opening and looking with a flashlight if they weren't looking through the window. We're dealing with some sick, morbid shit. Where is it? Right there. Take exposure on that. Whatever's inside will show through, expand it. There's an idea. Maybe I should try that. You'd be surprised what you would see. Yeah. So anyway, that's the end of this video. And I'm going to, it's going to take me some time because I'm busy. Only reason I got time for this is because I'm still doing the vegetables and I'm like picking away at some laundry and doing some other miscellaneous stuff, but obviously I have to get downstairs here soon. And then I'll be putting in full days soon. But yeah, I'll poke away and I'll get into my external hard drive. I'll hunt around for those pictures with the coroner, the province of British Columbia, Canada coroner, with John Hart in the background behind her, or beside her, or whatever. You can barely see him, but the camera caught it. And one of those tall 6'3", 6'4", I don't know what they were, but they called themselves cops, right? As the door was being slammed into my face. And I was denied the right to identify my dead daughter's, supposedly dead daughter's body. as we've got this shenanigan shit going on in the community at 3, 4, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. It went on for like 3 hours. And then finally, they had to have the big finale. Right? Big smoke bombs, the rubber bullets, and horns blowing, and and then everything calmed down. And then all of a sudden, all those guys, they swarmed in front of this thing so that you couldn't see what was being carried as they were sliding the body in. And the rumor is he disappeared. Nobody knows, including his wife, cops, nobody. The owner of the house, nobody. They're all saying that he ran away and is hiding out in the province somewhere. Nobody can find him. And we're talking like 2 weeks later, people. Not just the next day. We're talking 2 fucking weeks later. That guy didn't leave that house. Apparently he had an ankle bracelet on his foot and he wasn't allowed to leave. And he was like having a nervous breakdown or something. So he'd go to the road, stand at the road and throw things out on the road because his wife was leaving him, I suppose. She moved out. Because Andre used to go up and down the street. And he'd be outside in the yard, sitting on a step or whatever. Every now and then he'd come to right to the road. Right? Walk right to the road and then stand there and throw things out on the road. And then would go back in. So, if he didn't want to leave, where did he go? As if he knew they were coming. No. He's in there.